Hey there, nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and we are back on an episode of Anarchy Road Season 2. This is our series that is dedicated to Necromunda Ashway's battle reports, and this is battle report number 3. It is a Wasteland Ambush scenario that is played by my two friends, Lady Domina. She'll be playing her Flesh Carnival, which is a Slaanesh Helot Chaos Cult, against my little sister Shade, who's playing the Sisterhood of the Silent Sorrow, which is a Cawdor Outcast gang. As you can see, she's got her forces all deployed. She has her entire gang, while my friend Lady Domina does not only have a fraction of her fighting force on this one as well. Now, this one is a scenario that does not feature vehicles, so there will not be any vehicles on this one. It's entirely fought on foot. But we'll talk about that later when we get to the scenario rules. For now, we're going to play some background music real quick. As the music is playing, we'll show you videos and photos of both gangs as well as their rosters. If you want to see exactly what each of these gangs are taking for this scenario, go ahead and pause and take a look at your leisure. So with that being said, let's get this battle report on a roll.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying times here.
So the scenario for this one is Wasteland Ambush. The region is taking place in is in the Wild West, which means there's shifting dunes, which means the terrain is difficult terrain, and models that do not move during their activation suffer a wound or lose a hull point on their vehicles. Now this is taking place during the Season of Flame, which means 24-inch visibility rules are in effect, and on this one side is the attacker and one side is the defender. Now in this scenario, Lady Domina will be the defender, while my little sister Shade will be the attacker on this one. It will be taking place on a Sector Mechanicus Ashway's battlefield at a 4x4 table with no vehicles allowed and no terrain is set within 12 inches of the table center. Now, the attacker gets the entire gang in order to do the attack, while the defender gets D3 plus 5 randomly chosen fighters. In this case, my friend Lady Domina got 8 fighters in total. The defender rolls a D6 for each fighter. On a 1 through 5, they sit up within 6 inches of the middle of the table. On a 6, they're placed anywhere on the side, and the attacker then sits up anywhere on the table at least 12 inches away from the defenders or 6 inches away from the defenders if no line of sight can be drawn. Now, after the attacker has deployed, the defender then sets up any fighters who rolled a 6 earlier and can be set up anywhere as long as they're not engaged to an enemy fighter. Now, gang tactics on this one, you're allowed 2 gang tactics per player plus 1 tactic for each 100 points of difference between gang ratings, but we really don't use tactic cards in my gaming group, so we can just skip that part. And to end the battle, if either gang has no models left on the battlefield at the end of any round, then the battle immediately ends. The victory conditions for this one is that the attacker wins if they have more defenders put out of action over those who have escaped. Otherwise, the defender wins. The objective is that the attacker tries to take out as many defending enemy fighters out of action as possible, and at the same time, the defender is trying to escape. Now, the attacker has priority first round, but before activating, the attacker rolls a D3, and they can activate that many fighters before the defender activates their first fighter. And during the first round, attackers must make a cool test for each fighter. If failed, they can only make 1 action instead of 2. And then finally, the defender has an objective called Slipping the Net. Any defending fighter who is within 1 inch of a table edge escapes, even if they are seriously injured. Now, rewards for this one: for experience, all fighters who participate earn 1 point of experience, and defenders earn an additional experience point if they manage to slip the net and to escape. And if none of the defenders have leave, then there's 1 additional experience point for the attacker's leader. For reputation, if the attacker takes out more defenders out of action than escaping, they earn 1 point of reputation, plus 2 points of reputation defenders if more fighters escape than when out of action, and if either gang bottles out, they lose 1 point of reputation. So with the scenario rules over with, let's go ahead and talk about deployment. Alright, so first of all, let's go ahead and talk about the deployment for the Flesh Carnival, which is the Slaanesh Helot Chaos Cult game that is played by my friend Lady Domina. So, starting on the left-hand side, that is a character named Dry Koleski. They are a Helot cultist with an auto pistol as well as an axe. Right next on the right-hand side is Khalil of Raptures. He's a Helot Chaos Cultist specialist. He's got mesh armor as well as a flamer, auto pistol for a backup weapon as well as the specialist. Right next to them on the right-hand side is Kalasa the Hither Blade. She's a cult witch. She's equipped with mesh armor, chainsword, and auto pistol with 2 chaos familiars. She has a Psychic special rule, as well as a near to Insanity. She's also got the Fixer skill, and she has the Psychic power Dark Shield. Right next on the right hand side in the middle, that's Relius Joy Piercer. She is a Cult Disciple who's got Mesh Armor as well as a Heavy Stubber. She's got Auto Pistol, a Chaos Familiar, the Near to Insanity special rule, as well as Nerves of Steel. And finally, on the right hand side, we have the Splintered Mask, as well as, I believe that character's name is Skarak is his name. I'm sorry, Splinter Mask as well as Rafar as the person's name. They're both equipped with auto guns as well as knives. And that pretty much makes up the deployment for the Flesh Carnival on this one. Now, on the far right-hand side, right behind the Hescope areas, are the last two fighters for my friend Lady Domina. These guys rolled 6s, so that's the reason why they're on the far right-hand side of the table. On the bottom, that character's name is Dirac, the Night Flayer. He's a Cult Disciple. He's got Mesh Armor as well as a Grenade Launcher with Frag and Crack Grenades. He's packing Auto Pistol as well as a Chaos Familiar. He's got the Inure to Insanity special rule as well as the Overwatch skill. And right above him on the top, that is Creep Hook, another Helot Cult who's armed with Auto Pistol as well as an Axe. And that makes a deployment over here on the right-hand side. So moving on to the Sisterhood of the Silent Sorrow, this is Shade's House Cawdor Outcast gang. So first of all, right behind that vehicle, right near the center of the deployment on the far left-hand side, that light fighter is called the Reliquarius. She's an Outcast scum with Mesh Armor, a Gutterforged Cloak, as well as Cawdor Pole Arm with Blunderbuss. That's equipped with both Grape Shot as well as Purgation Shot. Right next on the right-hand side, that is the Purgatus, which is an Outcast champion who's a weird archetype. They got Mesh Armor, Gutterforged Cloak, as well as a combo weapon, a combination of Auto Gun as well as Flamer. They have an Auto Pistol as well as the Telekinesis, Discipline, Force Shield. Right next to her on the right hand side, that character's name is the Duelist. The Duelist is an Outcast scum with Mesh Armor, Gutterforged Cloak, Auto Pistol as well as a Great Sword. Next to her on the right hand side, that is the Exactor, who's the Outcast scum armed with Mesh Armor. She's got a Gutterforged Cloak as well as Auto Pistol and Twin Flails. Now on the right hand side, that character is called the Penitent, who's another Outcast scum. She's got Mesh Armor, a Gutterforged Cloak as well as a Eviscerator. And right next to her on the very end is the Preceptor. An Outcast scum has got Mesh Armor, a Gutterforged Cloak as well as a two-handed hammer with an Exterminator as well as packing Auto Pistol as a backup weapon. And over here on the very top of the table is the last four members of the gang being deployed. On the far right hand side, that in the back, that is the Sister Superior. She's an Outcast leader who's a weird archetype. She's got Mesh Armor, a Gutterforged Cloak, as well as a Plasma Pistol and a Chain Sword. She's at the Telepathy, Discipline, Unbreakable Will. Next on the left hand side, that is the Condemner, which is an Outcast champion who's also a weird archetype. She's got Mesh Armor as well as a Gutterforged Cloak. She's packing a Grenade Launcher with Frag and Crack Grenades, an Auto Pistol for a back weapon, and she's also got the Telekinesis, Discipline, Force Shield. And right in front of them on the left and right hand side, those are the Dialogus as well as the Militant. They're both equipped exactly the same. Both are Outcast scums with Mesh Armor, Gutterforged Cloaks, Auto Guns with Exterminators, as well as reclaimed Auto Pistols. And that pretty much makes up my little sister Shade's deployment for this one. So with deployment over with, let's go on and talk about battle plans. So now that we're done talking about deployments, let's talk about battle plans real quick. So once again, I am not really participating in this battle report. I'm being the arbitrator in this video. I'm just kind of recording what my friends are doing. Pretty much I talked to my friends pretty much after the deployment just to talk about the overall plan was. I talked to them individually so that way they wouldn't spy on each other for the most part. My little sister Shade, her plan is to basically try to cut off my friend Lady Domina. Now Lady Domina, of course, deployed most of her guys directly on this top area because originally she was going to try to escape by going directly to the top of the table edge there and try to escape that way. However, Shade saw where she deployed, so because of that, she put all of her forces directly up here on the top in order to intercept her as well. So Shade's plan instead is basically to do a running retreat. She plans on actually deploying her forces maybe to the left, going left to the right to escape to that table edge, that way she doesn't get killed and assaulted in close combat. She does have her two fighters over here who can lay some suppressive fire down these guys in order to destroy some of their forces, and at the same time escape from that table edge while the rest of her troops try to go over this way. Shade, on the other hand, her plan is to assault forward with this assault team moving forward. Her plan is, because she's using a hive mind type of build for her gang, she's going to have her Mother Superior use her Unbreakable Will ability, so that way they get Dark Shield on these fighters here because her champion's also weird, giving them +1 armor save, and do exactly the same thing over here so that way they can survive more. And once they have that, of course, they'll then assault forward and try to attack and try to swarm and destroy Lady Domina's forces. And that's pretty much what the battle plan for this one is. So with the battle plan over with, we go directly to the top of turn number 1. And my friend, my little sister Shade, she actually gets the initiative first because she's the attacker. And we'll come back, talk about exactly what she did for her first round activations. Alright, so that takes us directly to the top of turn number 1, and my little sister Shay gets to go first because she's the attacker. So before the scenario even begins, what ends up happening is because it's a surprise attack, my little sister Shay gets to roll a d3, and she gets to activate that mini fighters for the very first activation before the game even starts. So because of that, she basically went to the Reliquarius, which is basically this character over here. This character's armed with a Cawdor Blunderbuss, which a polearm blunderbuss, which also has Grave Shot as well as Purgation Shot. So she rolled a 1, and she was only able to activate the first fighter first. So the Reliquarius spends a simple action, move up forward, and a basic action, open fire with their Purgation Shot directly into the champion. That character's name is Relius Joypiercer, which is the, not the champion, I'm sorry. That character's name is Khaleesi the Hitherblade, which is the witch. Managed to catch her in a blast of fiery template blast, as well as this fighter as well, which is basically of the Rapture. I forgot the character's name, but she's got a flamer. Managed to hit her as well as one of the Helot Chaos Cultists. Managed to put a flesh wound in the cultist as well. None of these guys are wounded because of armor saves pretty much helped, but the guy over here is in the middle with the flamer. That person's actually got a blaze test, so not very good from there. Now from there, of course, Shay then activates her very first activation. She activates the Mother Superior, who then uses her Unbreakable Will psychic power for her basic action to get that off. And as you can see, everybody within 9 inches of her managed to get switch cool as well as willpower stats. And so she's got a willpower 4, and her champions are also psychers. That means they'll be able to use willpower 4 for their psychic test as well. She also does a simple action to move it forward, so that way she can close a distance directly towards the Helot Chaos Cultist. Now from there, of course, she then goes to what is known as the Condemner, which is basically, sorry, not the Condemner, yeah, the Condemner, which is one of her champions. Her champion is also a Psyker as well with a weird archetype. She uses Dark Shield as well, so everyone within 3 inches of her gets +1 to the armor saves, which she puts basically down on her 2 fighters over here, which are known as the Militant as well as the Dialogus. Now the Dialogus actually moves up forward. The normal Moonlance open fires with their autogun, firing 2 shots directly into Relius Joypiercer, which is the champion. Managed to put a wound directly onto her as well as pin her as well, and that pretty much makes up my little sister's very first activations for this turn. And so right now things are not looking really good right now for the Chaos Cultists. So with that, we now go directly to my friend Lady Domina, and she'll be activating next. Alright, so for Lady Domina's first activation, she then activates this fighter over here, which is one of her champions. His name is Dirac the Night Flayers, armed with a grenade launcher. He makes a basic action in the grenade launcher, and another basic action would fire it directly to the Penitent as well as to the other character. That character is called the Preceptor. Managed to hit them both with the blast from a frag grenade. Managed to put the Preceptor on serious injury while pinning the Penitent as well. Unfortunately for Lady Domina, she also means that she also got an ammo check on this one as well. Now this guy, of course, tries to open fire with his auto pistol from behind cover. Unfortunately, he misses, so because he is not able to do much of anything. And that pretty much makes Lady Domina's activation for this part. So with Lady Domina over with, we go directly to my little sister, the Kiddo. So we're back with my little sister Shay's next activation. So the next thing she does, she activates the Purgagus. The Purgagus is actually one of her champions, is also a weird archetype. She does use her Dark Shield ability, so that way everybody within 3 inches of her gets +1 to their armor save, so the Reliquarius gets it. Same thing with the Exactor, also gets +1 to armor save. And more importantly, the Duelist also gets a armor +1 to his armor save as well. Now, the Purgatus, she actually spends her simple action to climb directly to the hood of the car. I think the reason why she did that is so that way Shay could have her open fire with her flamering autogun directly into these guys later on the next turn. However, the most dramatic activation took place though with the Duelist. Using the group activation from the Purgatus, the Duelist does a charge action, leaping directly over the top of the vehicle and jumping down directly into these Chaos Cultists named Racklaces as well as Splinter Mask. Now she has a great sword, so because of that she does have the Sever trait on her weapon. These guys have no armor whatsoever, so this is going to be all kinds of bad. So my little sister Shade attacks with both weapons. Because it's also a versatile weapon, she can hit both fighters at exactly the same time. She puts 1 attack on each of them, manages to hit them both, at the same time also wounding both of them as well, since she's out with a strength 4 against toughness 3. Since these guys have no armor and the Sever rule kicks in, these guys don't actually roll for injuries, they automatically go out of action. Now lucky for my friend Lady Domina though, both these guys come out of it with out cold results. They're perfectly fine, they just won't be able to participate in the rest of the battle. But just like that, 2 fighters are already gone right now for my friend Lady Domina, and things are not looking really good right now for the Helot Chaos Cult. So with that activation over with, we go back to my friend Lady Domina for her next activation. Alright, so the rest of the turns, of course, is individual activations for the most part, so I just let my friends kind of play it out, and I'm going to talk about exactly what happened to each of these guys at the end of the round. So first of all, when it came to Lady Domina, let's go ahead and zoom in here real quick. So when it came to Lady Domina, the first thing she did, of course, is she activated her specialist over here. This character's name was Kalel of Raptures. Originally started off prone because he got hit with the flamer earlier, so because it does try to put out the flames, unfortunately for him, he does fail it, so he actually scatters and runs, and still on fire, runs over 5 inches, and lands right over here. So he's currently burning out for the most part, not much happening there. Meanwhile, over here, the Penitent as well as the Extractor, the Penitent actually moves over here directly next to the Relic, what's the character's called? The Preceptor, there we go, in order to help out that fighter, so that way during the recovery test she can actually get some help. She does try to open fire with her auto pistol, but unfortunately for her, though, she misses her shot. Same thing with the Extractor. She also comes over as well and open fires with her auto pistol, also misses her shot over there, but this fighter does have support now in order to help them out for the recovery phase. Meanwhile, earlier over in the center, these two fighters in the center over here, the first one was the champion, that her name is Aurelius Joypiercer. She does a basic action, get back on her feet again, and does another basic action, open fire with her auto pistol, going directly into the champion over here. Sorry, not the champion. Goes over here directly to the duelist. Managed to pin her. Doesn't manage to do anything from there. Now, the other cult witch, what's her name? Kalisa the Hitherblade. She does a basic action, get back on her feet again, and she also opens fire with her auto pistol, managing to pin the Purgatus, who was located up there on the top. The Purgatus, I believe is how I pronounce it. Anyways, managed to pin that champion as well. Now from there, this poor guy over here, which is one of the fighters, his name is Ravar. He managed to get back on his feet again. He opens fire with his auto pistol, but unfortunately misses to hit the Reliquarius, so not much really happens there. However, the other fighter over here in the back, I believe this character is called the Militant, I believe is her name. She actually, the Dialogus, that's her name. She actually moves up her normal allowance and opens fire with her auto gun. She does get a ammo check because that's just, she will need to reroll in the next turn, but she does manage to hit as well as pin this fighter again, so Ravar is on the ground. He is currently bleeding out as well with the pin as well. And that pretty much makes up the rest of the activation. So with the turn 1 actions over with, we go directly to the end phase. So during the end phase, only my friend Lady Domina does pass her bottle test, so nobody does flee, so that part is excellent for her. At the same time, right here on the bottom, the Preceptor managed to get a flesh wound. So because as she does roll over, she's currently bleeding out with 1 less toughness, but she can still fight, still shoot, so she's very much a threat for the most part as well. And that pretty much ends turn number 1 for this battle report. So with turn number 1 over with, we go directly to the top of turn number 2. My friend and my little sister roll out for priority to see which of them will be going first. And we are back with the beginning of drop at turn number 2. So my friend Lady Domina managed to get the initiative on this one. So her first activation, she activates is Aurelius Joypiercer, her cult disciple, who also has a group activation with her cult witch, who is Kalesa the Hitherblade. So first of all, Aurelius the Joypiercer opens fire with her heavy stubber, using a double action to do so because she doesn't have a dispenser on her heavy stubber. Managed to get 4 shots off, which she directs directly into the duelist. Managed to put a flesh wound on that fighter. Managed to hit the Purgatus, but fails to wound. So nothing much really happens there because the Purgatus saves the armor save. At the same time, put a serious injury directly on the Reliquarius, so because she goes crashing face down on the ground, she is currently bleeding out. And she does manage to hit the Penitent, but unfortunately for her, though, she fails to wound, so the Penitent is just currently pinned. So because that caused all kinds of damage that way. Now, before she ends up going, of course, Lady Domina then activates her Cult Witch, Kalesa the Hitherblade, then it manages to pass off her basic action to get Dark Shield off. Managed to put +1 on her champion as well as into this fighter's name is Ravar, and then she also moves her normal wound allowance directly towards this card in order to help out the next fighter who is currently on fire. And that pretty much makes up Lady Domina's first activation. So with that, we go directly to my little sister Shade. Alright, so we go on to my little sister Shade. The first thing she does is she activates the Extractor. So because she does do a charge action, manage to add 2 to her charging distance. So because she closes the distance directly into Aurelius Joypiercer, the champion, managed to get 3 attacks off with her paired flails. And not only did she manage to eat up the very last wound on the champion, but also managed to put her out of action as well with a grievous injury. So because that really is Joypiercer, or Pierce Joy, Joypiercer rather, sorry, get these names mixed up all the time. She will go out of action. She will also miss out on her next battle report because she is currently put into recovery. At the same time, the Extractor also earns 2 bonus experience points for actually taking out a fighter out of action, and a bonus experience for putting a champion out of action as well. And that makes up Shade's very first activation. So for that, we go directly back to Lady Domina. Alright, so we're back for the rest of turn number 2. This is actually after several activations. So first of all, up here on the top, as you can see, these 2 characters, Lady Domina decided to activate her 2 champion, Dirac, the Night Flare, who also activated Creep Hook, which is the fighter armor, the auto pistol, and axe. They do a group activation decided to get off the battlefield as quickly as possible, so they hail on. So because they both escape, also earning 1 experience point apiece. Now from there, of course, my little sister Shade then activates Mother Superior. First thing that Mother Superior does, she does a basic action to get off Iron Will again. So once again, all the fighters with the turquoise colored dice now swap the cool as well as willpower tests, willpower stats as their leader. So that's the first thing she actually does. And she also moves up her max move allowance directly to the Reliquarius in order to help out for the recovery phase. At the same time, because she was in 3 inches of the Militant activates as part of a group activation. The Militant does a basic simple action to move up forward the normal move allowance, and they open fire with their Exterminator on her auto gun, managed to catch both the Witch, Colossal Hither Blade, managed to catch her on fire and put a blaze test on her. And at the same time, she did fail the wound though, but she is caught on fire. But she does manage to wound and put out, I believe that character's name is Ravar, out of action. And so because he goes out cold, he will make a full recovery, but he will not be participating in this battle report any further. And because there's no way that Lady Domina could actually win this battle report now, because she has more fighters out of action than she does who could escape the table, she decides to call it, and that pretty much ends this battle report with a victory for the House Cawdor Outcasts. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going directly to the post game because this battle report is now officially over.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Alright, so now it's time for the after action report with the post game for this one. So starting with the Flesh Carnival for Lady Domina. For injuries, she actually suffered 4 injuries on this one. Splinter Mask as well as Ravar both go out cold, with Relius Joy Piercer getting a grievous injury, so because of she goes directly into recovery as well. As for Racked Laces actually gets transformed into a Chaos Spawn, and we'll talk about that here in a second. Now, no member of this gang did advance at this time, and from their territories, from both the Chimerics Cave, they earned 17 credits from that, as well as the Helot's Path. They also earned 8 credits from that as well. Now, during the Dark Ritual, Racked Laces was actually chosen as vessel for the ritual. Originally, a 4 was rolled for their Dark Ritual. However, they suffered -2 for their score for 2 reasons. One, they lost the battle, and second, they also lost reputation in this battle report as well. So because of that, they do lose the favor of Slaanesh, and because that Racked Laces transformed into a level 2 Chaos Spawn, so now this gang has a Chaos Spawn as well, and they lost the favor of Slaanesh at the exact same time. Now, during the trading post, they managed to score 25 credits from the territories, and they put all 25 of those credits directly into their stash. For the reputation, they earn 1 point reputation from their territories. However, since they bought out, they lose 1 point reputation, which means that the reputation total is still at 1. The new record now is at 0 wins as well as 1 loss, and the new gang rank now is at 2,480 points. Now, as for the victors of this one, for my little sister Shade, the Sisterhood of the Silent Sorrow. For injuries, she suffered no injuries in this battle report, as well as no advancements either. Now, from her territory, from the Night Passage, she managed to score 8 credits from that, as well as 4 credits from the Edge Road, which is another one of her territories. And she decided to capture the Crater's Shadow, which is another route that also gives her 9 credits from that territory as well. Now, for the trading post, that means she drummed up 21 credits from the territories, and she placed all 21 of those credits directly into her stash. As for reputation, she earned 1 point from her territories, as well as 1 from the scenario, giving her a grand total of 3 reputation in total. Her new record now is at 1 win and 0 losses, and her new gang rating now is still at 2,400 points. So that's good to do for this, you guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is valuable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest greatest hobby news related to this channel. That's good for this week, guys. We'll catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.